Introduction. The myth of the pixel-perfect genius. You open an app on your phone. The layout is beautiful. The colors are perfect, and every interaction feels smooth, intuitive, and almost magical. You use it without thinking. Then a second thought creeps in, I could never create something like this. You look at the world of UX/UI design and see a fortress guarded by artistic geniuses. You see people who were born with a preternatural gift for color theory, a divine sense of typography, and the ability to draw perfect shapes from memory. They are the creatives, the pixel-perfect visionaries. And you, a logical, practical, and perhaps not so artistic person, believe you are fundamentally not qualified to join their ranks. You think, I can't even draw a straight line. This is the most pervasive and damaging myth in the entire design industry. It is the wall that prevents countless smart, empathetic, and systematic thinkers from entering one of the most rewarding and lucrative fields in technology. Modern product design is not art. It is engineering. It is the science of empathy. Its primary tool is not a paintbrush, but a relentless, systematic process of problem solving. A great design is not measured by its beauty, but by its effectiveness. Did the user accomplish their goal with zero friction? Was the experience intuitive and stress-free? A beautiful app that is confusing to use is a failed design. A simple, boring app that is perfectly clear is a masterpiece of engineering. Welcome to From Zero to User Obsessed. This is not an art school textbook. It is a practical, step-by-step roadmap for becoming a professional UX/UI designer, even if you have zero prior experience. We will treat your career transition as an architectural project, giving you the specific blueprints for the skills that companies are desperate to hire. First, we will install the core architect's mindset, reframing your identity from a wannabe artist to a powerful user advocate. Next, we will give you the tactical playbooks for the two core disciplines, the UX protocol for architecting the user's experience, and the UI protocol for engineering the visual interface in the industry-standard tool Figma. Most importantly, we will guide you through the creation of a single, powerful portfolio project, a real, working app design that will serve as the undeniable proof of your skills. Finally, we will show you how to leverage that project to build your case study, ace the design interview, and land your first high-paying job in the tech industry. It's time to demolish the myth of the pixel-perfect genius. Your logical mind and your empathy are your greatest assets. The system is learnable. The path begins now. Part 1. The Foundation, the Architecture of Design Thinking. Case File 01. The Architect's Mindset. You are not an artist, you are a user advocate. Before you draw your first rectangle in Figma, we must perform a fundamental upgrade to your mental operating system. The primary reason most beginners fail at learning design is that they're trying to solve the wrong problem. They're trying to be an artist. An artist creates for the primary purpose of self-expression. They start with a blank canvas and a personal vision. Their work is subjective, and its success is measured by the emotional response it evokes. A product designer is not an artist. You are a user advocate. You are a problem solver. Your work has one, and only one, primary purpose: to make the life of your user easier. You do not start with a blank canvas. You start with a deep, empathetic understanding of your user's goals, frustrations, and pain points. Your success is not subjective. It is an objective, measurable metric. Did the user successfully book their flight in under 30 seconds? Did the new button design increase signups by 15%? Did the redesigned form reduce user errors by half? This is the most liberating mindset shift in all of design. It means that your success is not dependent on some mysterious, innate creativity or artistic talent. It is dependent on your ability to be a good detective and a good engineer. Your most valuable skill is not your ability to draw. It is your ability to listen. Your most powerful tool is not a color palette. It is a question: what is the simplest, most frictionless way for my user to achieve their goal? When you adopt the user advocate mindset, you stop asking yourself subjective, anxiety-inducing questions like, is this beautiful enough? Instead, you ask objective, engineering-focused questions like, Is the purpose of this screen immediately obvious to a first-time user? Is the most important button the most prominent thing on the page? Have I removed every single unnecessary word, button, and line from this interface? And if I were a user who was tired, distracted, and in a hurry, could I still successfully navigate this? Your job is to be the relentless, obsessive champion for the user. You are their representative in every meeting. You are their voice in every design decision. You are the architect of their experience, and your primary building material is empathy. As you proceed through this roadmap, this mindset must be your North Star. Every time you feel the pull of the artist, the desire to add a flashy but unnecessary element, you must return to your core identity. I'm not an artist. I'm a user advocate. Does this decision make my user's life easier or harder? This single question is the foundation of all great design, and it is the key to your new career. Case File 02. Deconstructing the jargon. The unbreakable difference between UX and UI. You will often see the terms UX and UI mashed together as UX/UI. To the outside world, they seem interchangeable. For the professional architect, they are two distinct, though deeply interconnected, engineering disciplines. Understanding the unbreakable difference between them is the first step to thinking and speaking like a professional product designer. Confusing the two in an interview is a clear signal of an amateur. UX, or user experience design, is the blueprint of the building. The core question is, how does it work? UX design is the work of the architect. Before a single brick is laid, the architect is obsessed with the experience of being in the building. How does a person flow from the entrance to the kitchen? Is the path logical and effortless? The architect's primary concern is the invisible structure, the logic, and the flow of the experience. A UX designer does not deal in colors and fonts. They deal in blueprints and diagrams. Their work includes user research, user flows, information architecture, and wireframes, simple black and white blueprints of each screen. UI, or user interface design, is the interior design and construction. The core question is, how does it look and feel? If UX is the architectural blueprint, UI is the work of the interior designer and the construction crew. They take the architect's approved blueprints and bring them to life. They are responsible for the look, the feel, and the interactive quality of the final product. A UI designer works with the tangible, visual elements of the product. Their work includes visual design, layout, interactive components, and high-fidelity mock-ups and prototypes. Here is the key insight. A great UI is useless without a great UX. A beautiful building with a confusing and illogical floor plan is a failure. Conversely, a brilliant UX can be ruined by a terrible UI. A building with a perfect floor plan, but with clashing colors and poor lighting, is also a failure. The two disciplines are a partnership. UX comes first. It is the invisible skeleton of logic. UI comes second. It is the visible, tangible skin that covers that skeleton. In many modern roles, one product designer is expected to have strong skills in both. This roadmap is designed to make you that person. You will learn to be the architect and the interior designer, mastering the full, end-to-end process of creating an experience that is not just beautiful, but brilliantly functional. Case File 03. The hireable skill set. The core competencies of a modern product designer. The field of product design is constantly evolving, with new trends and tools emerging every year. A beginner can easily get lost chasing the latest flashy design trend without building the foundational, evergreen skills that companies actually hire for. Your goal is not to be the trendiest designer. It is to be the most effective and hireable one. A job-ready product designer is a full-stack designer. This means they have a core set of competencies that cover the entire design process, from the initial abstract problem to the final polished solution. This roadmap is specifically architected to build your skills in these 5 core, non-negotiable competencies. Competency 1. User empathy and research. This is the why. This is the foundation of all UX. It is the ability to get out of your own head and into the head of your user. It involves conducting user interviews, and analyzing user behavior. A designer who makes decisions based on assumptions is a liability. A designer who makes decisions based on real user data is an invaluable strategic asset. Competency 2. Information architecture and wireframing. This is the structure. This is the ability to take a complex set of features and organize it into a simple, logical, and intuitive structure. The primary output is the creation of clear, low-fidelity wireframes that serve as the blueprint for the entire application. Competency 3. Visual design and UI. This is the look and feel. This is the ability to create a visually pleasing, cohesive, and easy-to-use interface. This includes a practical understanding of color theory, typography, spacing, and layout. A strong UI skill proves that you have an eye for detail and the ability to create a polished, professional-looking final product. Competency 4. Prototyping and interaction design. This is the flow. A static picture of an app is not enough. This is the skill of taking your high-fidelity mockups and making them interactive. It involves linking screens together, designing animations, and creating a clickable prototype that feels like a real, working application. Competency 5. Communication and collaboration. This is the soft skill superpower. This is the often overlooked but critically important competency. It is the ability to clearly articulate your design decisions. You must be able to explain why it is a good design, using the language of user needs and business goals. Design is a team sport. A brilliant designer who cannot communicate their ideas or work with a team is useless. Every module of this roadmap is specifically designed to build and provide evidence of these 5 core, hireable competencies. Case File 04. The Designer's Toolbox. Mastering Figma as your primary weapon. An architect is only as effective as their tools. In the world of modern product design, one tool has emerged as the undisputed industry-standard weapon of choice, Figma. While there are other tools on the market, Figma has captured the lead due to its powerful features, its collaborative nature, and its generous free plan. For the self-taught designer, this is a massive advantage. You do not need to spend thousands of dollars on a complex software suite. You can learn and master the exact same tool used by designers at Google, Microsoft, and Airbnb for free. Your goal is not to learn a dozen different design tools. Your goal is to achieve a state of deep, effortless fluency in Figma. It will be your digital drafting table, your prototyping engine, and the home for your entire portfolio. Figma is the only tool you need to learn initially because it is an all-in-one platform. It is not just for drawing pretty pictures. It is a full-stack design tool that covers the entire workflow: brainstorming, wireframing, UI and visual design, prototyping, and collaboration. Its generous free starter plan is a fully featured, professional-grade tool that is more than powerful enough for you to learn on and build your portfolio projects with. And because Figma has become the industry standard, proficiency in it is a non-negotiable requirement for most product design jobs. The Figma interface can seem intimidating at first. Our approach will not be to learn every single feature. We will focus on the 20% of the tools that you will use for 80% of your work. The second half of this book will be a hands-on workshop designed to build your skills in Figma. You will learn the basics of the interface. You will learn how to use frames, auto layout, and layout grids to create organized designs. You will learn how to create reusable components and styles for colors and typography. And you will learn how to connect your finished screens to bring your design to life. Your first action item after reading this chapter is to go to figma.com and sign up for your free account. Get comfortable with the interface. Watch a few beginner tutorials. By familiarizing yourself with your primary tool now, you will be perfectly positioned to hit the ground running when we begin the hands-on UI design portion of this roadmap. Your fluency in Figma will become the tangible proof of your ability to execute the work of a professional product designer. Part 2. The UX Protocol, Architecting the Experience. Case File 05, The Empathy Map, a blueprint for understanding your user's brain. You are about to design an application. The single most catastrophic mistake you can make at this stage is to design it for yourself. You are not the user. You are a designer with a deep, technical understanding of the product. Your users are not like you. They are busy, distracted, and have a completely different set of goals and frustrations. To design a successful product, you must first perform a kind of mental alchemy. You must get out of your own head and see the world through their eyes. The amateur designer works from assumptions. The professional designer works from empathy. But empathy is not a vague, abstract feeling. It is a structured, analytical process. The primary tool for this process is the empathy map. An empathy map is a simple, powerful blueprint for deconstructing a user's experience. It is a collaborative tool used to build a shared understanding of your target user. It transforms a faceless user into a tangible, relatable human being whose problems you can then solve. To create one, you will start with a simple, fictional persona, a representative of your target user. Let's imagine we are designing a mobile app to help people with meal planning. Our persona is Busy Brian, a 35-year-old working parent. You will now map out his experience across 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 says, "We're the actual literal things that Brian says out loud." Examples: I never have time to cook. I'm so tired of ordering takeout every night. Quadrant 2 thinks, "We're the thoughts and beliefs that are going on inside Brian's head that he might not say out loud." Examples: I feel like a failure as a parent. This is too overwhelming to even think about. Quadrant 3 does, "We're Brian's actual, observable actions and behaviors related to this problem." Examples: he works late. He opens a fridge at 6 p.m., sees nothing, and sighs. He scrolls through food delivery apps on his phone. Quadrant 4 feels, "We're the core emotions that Brian is experiencing." Examples: overwhelmed, stressed, guilty, frustrated, anxious, tired. Below the 4 quadrants, you will add 2 final, critical sections: pains and gains. For pains, list Brian's primary frustrations, fears, and obstacles like lack of time and decision fatigue. For gains, list what success looks like for him, like saving money and having less stress. By completing this simple, one-page document, you have now created the architectural foundation for your entire design. Every single design decision you make from this point forward will be measured against this map. The empathy map is your North Star. It is the tool that ensures you're not just building a product, but a genuine solution to a real human problem. Case File 06: User Flows and Information Architecture, charting the path of least resistance. You have successfully mapped the inner world of your user. You understand their pains, their goals, and their motivations. Now, you must translate that psychological blueprint into a structural one. Before you can design a single screen, you must first design the pathways that your user will travel through your application. This is the discipline of user flows and information architecture. Think of your application as a physical building. A user flow is the specific, step-by-step path a person takes to complete a single task, like walking from the lobby to their office. Information architecture, or IA, is the overall floor plan of the entire building, how the different rooms, hallways, and floors are organized and connected. The goal of a great UX architect is to make these pathways as short, as logical, and as frictionless as possible. First, you'll map out user flows. A user flow is a simple flowchart, a series of boxes and arrows that maps out every single decision and action a user takes to complete one specific goal. Your first step is to identify the critical paths of your application. For our meal planning app, this might be the sign-up flow or the find a recipe flow. You will map out each step. For example, the add recipe to plan flow might start with the user on the recipe screen. Then they click a button, a calendar appears, they tap a day, click confirm, and see a success message. By mapping this out, you create the step-by-step blueprint for a key feature. Second, you will design the information architecture. This is the overall sitemap of your app. For a simple mobile app, the IA is often defined by the main navigation menu at the bottom of the screen. You can use a simple technique. Write down every feature on a separate sticky note, then group them into logical categories. Your goal is to distill this down to 3 to 5 main categories, which will become your main navigation tabs. A good IA for our meal planning app might be home, recipes, plan, grocery list, and profile. By architecting your user flows and your information architecture before you start designing the visual interface, you're ensuring that your application is built on a solid, logical, and user-centric foundation. Case File 07. The Wireframing Engine. How to build the blueprint of your application. You have the psychological map and the structural map. Now, it is time to create the first visual representation of your application. This is the wireframe. A wireframe is a low-fidelity, black-and-white blueprint of a single screen. It is the architectural drawing. Its one and only purpose is to define the structure, layout, and hierarchy of the information on the page. It has no color, no real images, and no fancy typography. It is intentionally ugly. This ugliness is its superpower. By stripping away all the distracting visual design elements, the wireframe forces you and your stakeholders to focus on the most important questions. Is the most important information in the most prominent place? Is the layout clear and easy to understand? Are the buttons and calls to action obvious? Wireframing is the fastest, cheapest, and most efficient way to design. It is far easier to move a few gray boxes around on a wireframe than it is to redesign a full-color, pixel-perfect mockup. This is the stage where you make your big structural decisions. The wireframing protocol is simple. First, use a boxes and lines toolkit. You will build your wireframes in Figma using only the most basic shapes. Rectangles for containers and buttons, a rectangle with an X through it for an image, and lines of text to represent headlines and body copy. Second, follow the mobile-first mandate. When designing a product for both desktop and mobile, you must always design the mobile version first. The mobile screen is the most constrained environment. This forces you to be ruthless in your prioritization. It is much easier to adapt a simple mobile design to a larger screen than the other way around. Let's wireframe the recipe detail screen for our meal planning app. In Figma, you would create a frame for a smartphone screen. At the very top, a large rectangle with an X for the photo. Below that, a large line of text for the recipe name. Then, smaller boxes for key info like prep time. Below that, a subheading for ingredients and a list of text lines. Then, a subheading for instructions. And finally, at the bottom, a large, prominent rectangle for our most important call to action, the Add to Weekly Plan button. You have now created the complete, functional blueprint for this screen in minutes. It is not pretty, but it is clear. You would repeat this process for every key screen in your user flows, creating a complete set of architectural drawings for your entire application. Case File 08. The Usability Testing Mandate. How to find flaws in your design before you write a single line of code. You have completed your wireframes. You have a complete architectural blueprint for your application. At this stage, the amateur designer, convinced of their own brilliance, makes a catastrophic error. They immediately move on to the high-fidelity visual design. They fall in love with their own solution and spend the next 40 hours creating beautiful mock-ups based on a blueprint that is still a complete, untested assumption. The professional architect knows that no blueprint survives first contact with reality. They know that their own perspective is biased and that their assumptions are almost certainly flawed. Before they invest a huge amount of time into detailed construction, they must test the blueprint. This is the purpose of usability testing. It is the simple, powerful, and often humbling process of putting your low-fidelity wireframes in front of a real human being and watching them try to use it. It is the single most effective and efficient way to find the flaws in your design logic at the earliest possible stage. A single 1-hour usability testing session can save you hundreds of hours of wasted work down the line. It is a non-negotiable mandate. You can use a simple, low-cost, guerrilla usability testing protocol. Step 1. Create a simple, clickable prototype. Using Figma's built-in prototyping feature, you will take your collection of black and white wireframe screens and link them together. You're not writing code. You are just drawing connections from the buttons on one wireframe to the corresponding next screen. The result is a simple, interactive, clickable app made of your wireframes. Step 2. Find your testers. You only need 3 to 5 people. Your testers should be people who are vaguely similar to your target persona. You're not looking for other designers or tech-savvy people. You can ask friends, family members, or even go to a coffee shop and offer to buy someone a coffee in exchange for 15 minutes of their time. You will uncover about 85% of the major usability problems with just 5 testers. Step 3. The testing script. This is the think aloud protocol. Your job is to be a neutral, silent observer, not a guide. You'll introduce the test by saying, "This is not a test of you. It's a test of the design." The most important thing is that you think out loud as you do this. Then, give them a high-level task like, your goal is to add lasagna to your plan for Wednesday night. The golden rule is that once you give them the task, you must shut up. The moments where they are confused and struggling are the moments where you are getting the most valuable data. Step 4. Synthesize the feedback. Take meticulous notes. Look for patterns. If 3 out of 5 testers were confused by the same icon, you have found a critical flaw in your architecture. Your next job is to go back to your wireframes, fix that flaw, and then test again. This transforms your design process from an assumption-based art into an evidence-based science. Part 3. The UI protocol. Engineering the interface. Case file 09. Figma fundamentals. From blank canvas to your first component. You have completed the full UX protocol. You have a set of user-tested, validated wireframes that serve as the architectural blueprint for your application. Now, it is time to move from the role of the architect to the role of the interior designer and construction engineer. It is time to add the color, the life, and the interactivity. It is time to build the user interface. Your primary tool for this entire section will be Figma. Our goal is not to learn every obscure feature. Our goal is to master the fundamental, high-leverage skills that will allow you to build professional, clean, and scalable designs. This chapter is your hands-on bootcamp. Your first action for any new screen is to create a frame. Press the F key to activate the Frame tool, and the Properties panel on the right will show you a list of preset sizes for popular devices like the iPhone 14 Pro. The core building blocks are shapes and text. Press R for the rectangle tool, or T for the text tool. Click and drag on your frame to create an element. In the Properties panel on the right, you can change its color, size, font, and other effects. The superpower of UI design is components. This is the single most important concept for becoming an efficient and professional designer. A component is a reusable design element. Imagine you're designing an app with 50 screens, and every screen has the same Submit button. If you create that button as a main component, you can then place 50 instances of it throughout your app. The magic is that if you go back and change the color of the one main component, all 50 instances will update automatically. This is the foundation of building a design system. You will create components for everything that gets reused: buttons, navigation bars, form fields, and icons. Your mission for this chapter is to build your first component. Create a new frame. Inside the frame, create a simple button with a rectangle and a text layer. Select both elements and turn them into a main component. Now, create 5 instances of that component. Go back to your main component and change the color and the text. Watch as all 5 instances update in real time. By mastering this single, fundamental workflow, you have already started to think and work like a professional system designer. Case file 10. The laws of layout. Using grids and visual hierarchy to guide the eye. You have your wireframe blueprint, and you know how to create the basic building blocks in Figma. Now, you must learn the art of arranging those blocks on the screen. A screen with randomly placed elements feels chaotic, unprofessional, and is difficult for a user to scan. A well-designed layout feels calm, organized, and instantly communicates what is most important. This is not a matter of subjective artistic taste. It is a science. The human eye does not read a screen. It scans it, looking for patterns and anchor points. Your job as a UI engineer is to architect the layout in a way that deliberately guides the user's eye to the most important information first. This is achieved through 2 fundamental tools: layout grids and visual hierarchy. First, the layout grid. This is your invisible scaffolding. A layout grid is an invisible set of columns that you place on your frame. It is the scaffolding that ensures every element you place on the screen is perfectly aligned and that the spacing is consistent. Using a grid is the single fastest way to make your designs look clean and professional. For mobile design, a simple 4-column grid is a powerful and common standard. In Figma, you can select your frame and add a layout grid from the Properties panel. Your new rule is simple. Every single element you add to the screen, text, images, buttons, must have its edges aligned to one of these columns. This simple discipline will instantly bring a sense of order to your work. Second, visual hierarchy. This is the science of what's important. Visual hierarchy is the art of making the most important element on the page look the most important. You will use a combination of size, color, weight, and placement to create a clear pecking order of information. A user should be able to glance at your screen for 2 seconds and know exactly what the number one most important thing is. Larger elements are perceived as more important. Bolder text is perceived as more important. Bright, high-contrast colors draw the eye. Your primary call to action button should be the most vibrant, high-contrast element on the entire screen. You can use the squint test as a diagnostic tool. Once you have arranged the elements on your screen, take a few steps back from your monitor and squint your eyes until the text becomes blurry. What is the one element that still stands out? If it's your primary call to action button, you have successfully created a strong visual hierarchy. By combining the rigid alignment of a layout grid with the deliberate cues of a strong visual hierarchy, you are engineering clarity. Case File 11, The Science of Color and Typography, a practical guide to building a cohesive visual system. Color and typography are the two elements of design that feel the most artistic and therefore the most intimidating to a beginner. The fear of choosing the wrong colors or a bad font can lead to paralysis. The secret is to understand that for a product designer, color and typography are not primarily about artistic expression. They're about function and communication. Your goal is to choose a simple, professional, and accessible palette that reinforces your brand and makes your content easy to read. Let's start with the architecture of a color palette. You do not need a dozen different colors. You can use the 60-30-10 rule. This is a classic design rule that provides a simple, balanced framework. 60% of your interface will be your primary, neutral color. For maximum readability and a clean look, this will almost always be white or a very light gray. 30% will be your secondary, text color. It should not be pure black, which can be harsh on the eyes. A very dark gray is a much better, more professional choice. Finally, 10% is your accent or action color. This is your brand color. It is the single vibrant color that you will use for the most important clickable elements, your buttons, your links, and key icons. Do not try to invent this color from scratch. Use a professional tool like Coolers to find a beautiful accent color in minutes. Next is the science of typography. Your goal here is clarity and professionalism. The simplest and safest strategy for a beginner is to follow the one font rule. Choose one single, high-quality, and versatile font family and use it for everything. A great font family will come with a variety of weights like light, regular, semi-bold, and bold, which will give you all the tools you need to create a strong visual hierarchy. Use Google Fonts to find a massive, free library of professional fonts. For a digital product, a sans serif font is almost always the best choice for its clean look and high readability on screens. Excellent choices for a beginner are Inter, Poppins, or Lotto. Once you have defined your simple color palette and your typographic scale, you'll save them as styles in Figma. This is the key to creating a visually consistent design and allows you to update your entire app's look and feel in seconds. You are no longer an artist staring at a blank canvas. You are an engineer building a clean, professional, and highly readable visual system. Case File 12, The Interactive Prototype, a playbook for making your designs clickable and testable. You have reached a critical milestone. You have a collection of beautiful, well-structured, high-fidelity mockups. They are the photographs of your application. But an application is not a static photograph. It is a living, interactive experience. A hiring manager or a client doesn't just want to see what your app looks like. They want to feel what it's like to actually use it. This is the purpose of the interactive prototype. It is the process of taking your static design screens and linking them together to create a clickable, realistic simulation of the final product. This is not a nice-to-have final touch. It is a core competency of a modern product designer. An interactive prototype is your single most powerful tool for user testing, for communicating your vision to engineers, and for creating a wow moment in your portfolio. Figma's built-in prototyping tools make this process surprisingly simple. You're not writing any code. You're simply drawing the connections. This is the prototyping protocol. Step 1. The happy path focus. Your goal is not to make every single button and link in your entire design clickable. That is a waste of time. Your goal is to prototype the happy path of one or two of the most critical user flows. For our meal planning app, a perfect happy path to prototype would be the flow of a user finding a recipe, adding it to their weekly plan, and seeing it appear on their grocery list. Step 2. Entering prototype mode in Figma. In the top right of the Figma interface, next to Design, you will see a tab for Prototype. Click it. Your Properties panel will now change. When you select an element on your design, you will see a small circular node appear on its right side. This is your connection point. Step 3. Creating the connections or noodles. You will now create the interactive links. Select the Add to Plan button on your recipe detail screen. Click and drag the circular node from that button over to the weekly plan calendar screen. An arrow will appear. An interaction panel will pop up, asking you to define the trigger like on click and the animation like move in. You will repeat this process for the entire flow. Step 4. Presenting your prototype. In the top right corner of Figma, there is a Present button. Click it. Figma will open a new tab that displays your design in a realistic device frame. It is now a fully interactive, clickable application. You can now click the Share Prototype button to get a single, public URL to send to anyone in the world. By mastering this simple prototyping protocol, you have fundamentally elevated the quality of your deliverables. You're no longer just showing static pictures. You are providing a tangible, interactive experience. Part 4. The Career Engine, from Figma to First Job. Case File 13. The Portfolio Project, architecting a full-stack design for a real-world app. You have now mastered the full end-to-end design process. You have learned the UX protocols for understanding your user and the UI protocols for engineering a beautiful, functional interface. You have all the individual skills. Now, you must assemble them. You must synthesize all of your new abilities into a single, comprehensive, and impressive portfolio project. This is the culmination of your entire journey. It is the flagship project that will serve as the undeniable proof of your job-ready status. This is the Job-Ready Portfolio Project Blueprint. Your mission is to choose one real-world application and take it through your entire design process, from initial research to a final, high-fidelity, interactive prototype. Step 1. Choose your project using the redesign strategy. The fastest and most effective way to create a powerful portfolio piece is not to invent an app from scratch, but to redesign an existing, well-known app that has clear, identifiable flaws. This strategy shows ambition and critical thinking. It provides a clear before and after story, and it is relatable to a hiring manager who is already familiar with the app. Pick an app that you personally use and find frustrating. Is your local public transit app confusing? Is your bank's mobile app clunky? These are all perfect candidates. Do not try to redesign the entire app. Choose one critical user flow that is currently flawed and make that the focus of your project. Step 2. Execute the full zero-to-ready protocol. You will now apply the entire playbook you have just learned to your chosen project. You will document every single step. First, the UX protocol. Create an empathy map. Map out the before and after user flows, create low-fidelity wireframes, and conduct a quick usability test. Then, the UI protocol. Build out the full-color, high-fidelity mockups in Figma. Create a professional color palette and typographic scale. Build reusable components. And finally, create a high-fidelity, interactive prototype of your new, improved user flow. Step 3. Assemble your deliverables. By the end of this process, you will have a folder containing a powerful set of assets that prove your full-stack design capabilities. Your user research, your user flow diagrams, your polished mockups, and a link to your interactive prototype. This is not just a collection of pretty pictures. This is a complete, professional project that tells a compelling story. This is the project that will get you noticed. The next step is to learn how to tell its story. Case File 14, the UX Case Study, the art of telling the story of your design process. You have completed your portfolio project. You have a folder full of brilliant deliverables. This is your evidence. But evidence on its own is not a story. A hiring manager doesn't just want to see the final, beautiful result. They want to understand the thinking that led you to that result. They want to see your process, your logic, and your problem-solving skills in action. The UX case study is the vehicle for this story. It is a concise, compelling narrative that walks the reader through your entire design process, from the initial problem to the final solution. It is the single most important document in your portfolio. A brilliant design with a poorly written case study will be ignored. A good design with a brilliantly written case study can get you hired. Your case study is not a long, academic paper. It is a sales document. It must be scannable, visually engaging, and relentlessly focused on telling a clear and logical story. You will build your case study on your portfolio website using a proven 5-part narrative structure. Part 1. The hook. This covers the problem and the goal. Grab the reader's attention and clearly state the purpose of the project. Include the project title, your role, a 1-sentence problem statement, and a 1-sentence goal. Part 2. The investigation. This showcases your UX process. This is where you prove that you're a user-centric, data-driven designer. Do not just write about your process. Show it. Include a picture of your empathy map, a before and after diagram of your user flows, and a few of your key wireframes. Part 3. The solution. This is where you reveal the after. This is the visual climax of a story where you will showcase your best, high-fidelity mockups. Place your beautiful, full-color designs in realistic device mockups. For each screen you show, add a short, concise annotation that explains a key design decision. Part 4. The validation. This is the prototype and testing. This is where you prove that your solution actually works. Embed a clickable, interactive prototype of your final design directly into your case study page. Then, briefly summarize the results of your usability testing. Part 5. The reflection. This is the conclusion. Briefly state the biggest lesson you learned from the project and suggest what you would do next if this were a real project. By architecting your case study with this clear, compelling, and visual narrative structure, you are demonstrating your entire professional thought process. You are proving that you are not just a pixel pusher, but a true product designer and a strategic problem solver. Case File 15. The portfolio website. A simple system for showcasing your work and your thinking. Your case study is the story. Your portfolio website is the theater where you will tell that story. In the design world, your portfolio is your resume. It is the single most important link you will share with recruiters and hiring managers. A confusing, poorly designed, or broken portfolio website can disqualify you before anyone even looks at your work. The amateur designer, in an attempt to show off their creativity, often over-designs their portfolio. They fill it with flashy animations and confusing navigation. This is a critical mistake. Your portfolio website has one purpose: to be the simplest, fastest, and most frictionless possible container for your case studies. The website itself should be almost invisible. The work is the star of the show. This is the minimalist showcase blueprint. You do not need to code this website from scratch. You will use a simple, user-friendly, template-based website builder like Squarespace or Webflow. Your goal is a clean, professional, and brutally simple site. It will have 3 essential pages. Page 1. The home page. This is the movie poster. Its goal is to introduce yourself and immediately direct the visitor to your work. The headline should be a simple, confident statement like, "Hi, I'm Ron Gardinski. I'm a product designer who creates simple, user-obsessed digital experiences." The main body of the page should be a grid of large, beautiful, and clickable thumbnail images, one for each of your portfolio projects. There should be nothing else on this page. Page 2, the case study page. This is the feature film. When a user clicks on a project thumbnail, it will take them to a dedicated page for that case study. This page will be built using the exact 5-part narrative structure we designed in the previous chapter. It should be a long, scrolling page that tells the complete story of your project. Page 3, the About page. This is behind the scenes. Its goal is to briefly tell the visitor who you are and to make it incredibly easy for them to contact you. It should include a professional headshot, a short bio, a prominent Download My Resume button, and your contact information. Finally, you must follow the domain name mandate. You must purchase a professional domain name, like yourname.com. A URL that includes the website builder's brand is an immediate signal of an amateur. This simple, 3-page portfolio architecture is all you need. It is professional, it is user-friendly, and it lets your brilliant case studies do the selling for you. Case File 16, the Design Challenge Gauntlet. How to ace the whiteboard test and land the offer. Your portfolio has worked. You have now been invited to the final, most feared stage of the design hiring process, the Live Design Challenge. This is often called a whiteboard challenge. The hiring manager will present you with a hypothetical design problem, and you'll have 45 to 60 minutes to walk them through your process of solving it in real time. This is not a test of your Figma skills. This is not a test of your artistic ability. It is a raw, unfiltered test of how you think. They want to see your pure UX process in action. The amateur designer panics. They feel immense pressure to come up with a brilliant solution on the spot. They jump immediately into drawing screens. They fail the test before they even begin. The architect understands that the final solution is the least important part of the exercise. The process is the product. Your goal is to showcase a structured, logical, and user-centric problem-solving framework. This is the 5-step whiteboard protocol. Step 1. Deconstruct the prompt and ask clarifying questions. This should take 10 minutes. Do not start solving. Start questioning. If the prompt is design a mobile app for dog walkers, you will ask, who is the user, the walker, or the owner? What is the business goal? What are the constraints? You are creating your design brief on the whiteboard. Step 2. Define the user and their pains. This takes 5 minutes. Based on the answers from Step 1, create a mini persona. Okay, our user is a busy dog owner, anxious Annie. Her biggest pains are trusting a stranger with her dog and feeling disconnected. Step 3. Brainstorm and prioritize features. This takes 10 minutes. Brainstorm features that could solve Annie's pains, like walker profiles with reviews and GPS tracking. Then prioritize them for a minimum viable product. Step 4. Sketch a critical user flow and low-fidelity wireframes. This takes 15 minutes. Map out the critical flow of finding and booking a walker. Then, for 1 or 2 of those screens, draw a very rough, low-fidelity wireframe using simple boxes and lines. Step 5. Summarize and state next steps. This takes 5 minutes. You will not have a finished design. That is the point. You will conclude by summarizing your process. So, in this hour, we've defined our user and sketched out a core user flow. My immediate next step will be to take these rough wireframes and conduct usability testing to validate our assumptions. By following this structured protocol, you prove that you are a true product designer. This is the performance that lands you the offer. Conclusion: you are the user's advocate. You began this roadmap with a myth in your head. The myth of the pixel-perfect genius, the artistic prodigy who was born with a gift for design. You saw a world of subjective beauty and innate talent, and you believed that you, a logical and practical person, did not have the creativity to belong. That myth has now been systematically deconstructed and replaced with a more powerful, more accurate, and more empowering truth. You now know that great design is not art. It is engineering. It is not about a mysterious gift. It is about a learnable, systematic process. You are not an artist. You are a user advocate. You have deconstructed the core disciplines of product design, mastering the unbreakable difference between the UX of the architect and the UI of the engineer. You have filled your toolkit with the most valuable, in-demand skills in the modern tech industry. The ability to understand a user's pain through empathy mapping, the ability to architect a logical solution through user flows and wireframes, and the ability to engineer a beautiful, functional interface using the industry-standard tool, Figma. Most importantly, you have moved beyond the realm of theory. You have the blueprint for building a real-world, high-impact portfolio project that will serve as the undeniable proof of your new skills. You have the system for telling the story of that project through a compelling case study, and you have the protocol for acing the final, most challenging test, the live design challenge. You do not just have knowledge, you have a complete, end-to-end plan for launching a new career. The path from this point forward is one of execution. It is the work of building your project, crafting your portfolio, and applying these systems in the real world. Your logical mind, your empathy, and your ability to think systematically are not weaknesses in the world of design. They are your superpowers. You're no longer a passive user of technology. You are one of its core architects. You are the relentless, obsessive champion for the user. You're their advocate. Now go build. Did this roadmap help you? Your journey is just beginning, but your feedback is crucial. If this book provided you with real-world value, the single best way to support this mission